junkies, welcome back to Twin Flicks, where we always here celebrating the magic of movies and physical media with you. Now today we're traveling back to the mid-90s, when raunchy comedies thrived and dominated the theaters and home video. Not just with actors like Jim Carrey, who dominated the box office between 94 and 96, but also the talent behind the camera, with writers and directors that, without them, well, there'd be no movie. And this doesn't ring any truer than today's movie from 1996, Kingpin, from writer-director the Farrelly brothers, coming off the box office smash hit of Dumb and Dumber. Well, in 2014, Universal released a film on Blu-ray that also included the unrated director's cut, and it was a good-looking Blu-ray for its time. And definitely much better than the old DVD. Well, 11 years later, Kingpin makes the leap over to the UHD format with a fresh 4K UHD scan of the original 35mm negative, forming a 4K DI with HDR10 and Dolby Vision grading. Alright guys, well grab your ball and run and head down the bowling alley and let's take a closer look at Kingpin on 4K UHD and compare it to the previously released Universal Blu-ray and see why this 4K is worth the upgrade. Well, here we are again with yet another Blu-ray from Universal Pictures that carries that ugly magenta, pink, whatever color you want to call it, hue wash over the image that really dilutes and drowns out colors and details. Kingpin is definitely not as egregious as Sneakers, for example, but it's definitely there and more noticeable within the white levels. And I did also notice a slight orange hue as well, and this affected areas, making certain shots like the skyline in the background carry this almost burnt, ugly looking color to it. But I only saw this with a couple different shots. However, with that pink magenta hue wash over the image, again, it really affects the white levels, such as white shirts. They're pink on the Blu-ray. I mean, just look at the right-hand side of the Blu-ray frame compared to the 4K. Or even signs that are pinkish on the Blu-ray when they're crisp white on the 4K. But it wasn't just whites that this pink hue affected. Also, it affected blues, such as the Amish girl's blouse. It's supposed to be blue tone, but on the Blu-ray, it looks purple. And these are just a few examples out of many. You can clearly see a big 9-day differences here between the 4K and the Blu-ray. And without this pink wash diluting and drowning out the colors, all these colors now carry much more nuances and activity within the different shades and tones, while also looking natural. Skin tones are also greatly improved upon. The Blu-ray had some really mixed skin tones that leaned sometimes towards a slightly palish look, while other times skin tones looked overly hot as if everyone had a bad sunburn. Like this scene here, take a look at Randy Quaid's neck. With the HDR10 Dolby Vision grading applied, we now have very healthy and natural real-to-life skin tones. And also colors are used and displayed much more appropriately now, from the tacky, candy, pastel-colored interiors of the bowling alleys to the Las Vegas neon lights and signs that really pops at night, and the more natural, earthy colors of the Amish community. I mean, every single frame from start to finish now looks much more faithful to the original source material and much more natural, the way the filmmakers envisioned it to look. And the saturation is very nicely handled here, that is elevated to a point and is really used to keep the skin tones and primaries and other colors nicely balanced while staying active, without areas looking overly hot or looking dull and faded, which was the issue on the dated Blu-ray. And the saturation never looks artificially applied. Contrast is also handled much better here, that it has wider ranges. This really helps with daylight scenes now looking naturally lit, unlike the Blu-ray where many scenes looked overly exposed or hot. Now as for the black levels, on the Blu-ray I didn't notice any kind of crushing. However, the black levels I did notice some bright grayish blacks that are very noticeable, as you can see here. The 4K with the HDR10 Dolby Vision grading gives off much stronger, deeper, inky, truer looking blacks, even going pitch black, that still has clear visibility throughout. Now, Kingpin on 4K UHD and also the included remastered Blu-ray has a very nice cleanup job from the 4K scan, while also the 4K scan has retained any inherited anomalies and imperfection from the negative intact. And also the 4K scan has given Kingpin a much clearer and sharper, or as sharp as it can be, image quality from the higher 2160p resolution, giving the image more finer lines throughout. Now, one area I did notice is there are a number of shots that do look soft. And this is just inherited from the camera negative. It's the way the film was shot using soft focus lenses. This 4K with the added HDR10 Dolby Vision applied also exudes finer details such as facial features, Vanessa Angel's makeup, even down to drops and beads of sweat and lines on foreheads and faces are just all more revealing now in this 4K. Backgrounds within bowling alleys and other interiors stay very active and sharp. It's just a very stunning 4K UHD presentation. Now, the Blu-ray, as I mentioned earlier, does have a lot of DNR scrubbing with grain reduction. This isn't a problem here with the 4K. The grain is intact, giving a very nice and natural looking 35mm filmic appearance that also gives more depth and three-dimensionality within the image. Alright guys, now let's dive into the audio presentation of Kingpin on 4K, and it does come with two audio tracks. It comes with a DTS 5.1 surround mix and a stereo mix, and they do both sound very similar to what's on the Universal Blu-ray, so I do not believe that they are remastered. Now guys, head over to the comments section and let me know when you look at the differences here between the Kino Lorber 4K UHD release and the previously released Universal Blu-ray. Which do you like better? Head over to the comments section and let me know. As always guys, thanks so much for hanging out with me for a few minutes here as we dive into Kingpin on 4K UHD from Kino Lorber and comparing it to this god-awful mess. And I want to give a huge shout out to Kino Lorber for sending this one to us so that we can review it for you guys and let you know if it's really worth spending your hard-earned money in upgrading from your Blu-ray or just adding this one to your collection, which it definitely is. As always, keep physical media alive, and we'll see you next time with our 4K versus Blu-ray comparison.
Twin Flicks presents 4K versus Blu-ray comparisons.